So today I want to talk about I want to demonstrate the sign of Sagittarius, right? I want to demonstrate the sign of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is, you know, the sign of education. It is a sign of exploration. It is a sign of adventure. Mhm. It is a sign of gains. It is a sign of benefits. It is a sign of joy, happiness. But primarily here it is, in our world today, Sagittarius is a sign of education. Mm? The sign of education. But on the other side of it, it's also the sign of indoctrination. Yes, it's also the sign of dogma. It's also the sign of dogma, right? So, but we are talking about Sagittarius today. We are going to be talking about Sagittarius people, the psychology, and the nature of the experience of Sagittarius people, right? And also what Sagittarius also means outside of just the people. You understand? So, for example, now we are talking about Sagittarius people, also including Sagittarius as a sign. That is what it points to in our society. Just like I said, Sagittarius is the sign of education. It is the education system. It is Sagittarius is higher education, higher learning. That is higher institution, your polytechnic, your college of education, your universities, your all that stuff. College, like they say in the West, they call it refer to. I think they also say university, but I mean there's college, all of that stuff, anything higher institution, right? They also, that's just what that stuff is about. Sagittarius is the education system globally, worldwide, as long as astrology is concerned, globally. Sagittarius is a sign of the education system. But we are talking about Sagittarius people here. What are the things that Sagittarius people are known by, right? Sagittarius people are people that prioritize education, just like the way Sagittarius is the sign of education. It's the same way Sagittarius people prioritize education. And it's also the sign of philosophy. You understand? And the sign of philosopher. Not necessarily that people who are Sagittarius are going to be philosophers, or people that are philosophers are Sagittarius. No, that's not what I'm saying. The sign, what describes this, what philosophy is astrologically is Sagittarius, not the people, but what it is. You understand? It's just like when they say Libra is the sign of relationship. It does not necessarily mean that all Libras love relationship. No. So you have to try to understand the way I demonstrate these things, so you don't get confused or you don't get carried away when I'm discussing or explaining the things that Sagittarius points to. That does not necessarily involve people, and then those two that involve people. So you know how to make, find a balance between these two concepts of me talking about a sign, what it means, then outside of just what it means for people, and then what it also means for people too. So Sagittarius is philosophy, is education, it is mental expansion. So when you consider this, you see that Sagittarius people are very, very inclined to education. And when you're talking about education, these people have Leo in the 9th place of education. This is the place, this is a sign of autonomy. You understand? These people do not want to be answerable to anybody as regards to what their specific preference is in the field of education. They just want to pursue that thing that they want when it comes to what they choose to study in school, whether in university or whichever level of education that they are in at that moment. They don't want anybody to have to dictate to them or to suggest to them. They want their own preference. They desire that absolute autonomy to be able to make the decision on their own on what they choose to study. They don't want anybody dictating to them what to study and what not to study, what is good. They just want the stuff that they want. They go out there and they just go and study that particular thing that they want. Now, when it comes to adventure, you have to look at Leo as the sign of the child. Leo is also the sign of fun. It's also the sign of playing. So when you consider that Sagittarius is also the sign of adventure, not just education also, but adventure, it points to a lot of things. But I'm just going to keep this between, you know, just keep this simple. You understand what I mean? So it points to the sign of adventure. When you look at the ninth place here of Sagittarius, which is a place of adventure, you see the sign of Leo. Leo is your inner child, your childhood, the innocence of a child. You understand me? Love. Sagittarius people love adventure. Sagittarius people love adventure. They love education. They love to expand their mind. Like I said, they want absolute autonomy in deciding what they want to study, what their choice of study or course is in the education sector and in the field of education. They want them to take to them. But also when you consider this, okay, let's look at this in the form of childhood. Like when the Sagittarius is in the phase of their childhood to teenage, these people are usually the very loudest. They are always running around the house. They are playing. They are always very loud, very very loud. As a child, they are very loud. These people, they play a lot. They play a lot. These people, when they were growing up, they play a lot. You understand? This is what makes up a huge portion of their childhood, because it's that spirit of exploration. They are going here, they are going here, they are loud, they are screaming, they are yelling. All that stuff is Sagittarius energy, because childhood, when it comes to running, which is the ninth place and all of that stuff. I mean, the fifth place here too. During their childhood too, they were very competitive people. This also ties in, because if you look at this tree, you see that they are all fire signs, which is Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. You see that they are fire signs, so they are in a trine aspect. If you look, this serves as a huge building block as to understanding how Sagittarius is. It works for other signs too, but in this particular case here, I'm talking about Sagittarius. So from childhood, these people are very competitive. They have Aries in the fifth place, because the fifth place is your childhood too. It's your childhood, because it's a place that is ruled by Leo. But let me not confuse those that don't know the astrology. Let me keep it simple, right? Aries is competition and Aries is sports. People who engage in sporting activities for the sake of wanting to compete. Sagittarius people are like this. Like during the childhood days, they are like that, and even when they eventually become parents, they are those parents that motivate their children to compete. You understand what I'm saying? There are those those parents that motivate their children to compete in any capacity, in school, in whatsoever. Even consider they have Leo here in the place. So the father, the young father pushing his child to compete in any capacity whatsoever in the education system or in school. In sporting activities is where they mostly push their children to want to indulge in. They too also have that love for sports. Sagittarius people have a natural love for sports. You will find this mostly with Sagittarius people, and they love the competition. If they are not very sport inclined people, you'll find them very very competitive in most of their endeavors. Very very competitive, and the courage to see things, to keep going and keep pushing through, that determination to just continue pushing through. You understand? Because this Aries they have in the fifth house is courage. Is just that determination, that passion, that drive they have to just keep pushing through things. I mean, despite the fact that they have Scorpio in the 12th place, right? Why I say this is because Mars rules this too. Is why I want to talk about this now. Now, having Scorpio in the 12th place, the 12th place is your fears. It's also your form of escapism from the world. You understand? But let's talk about the fear for now. Having Scorpio in the 12th place is the fear of death. Yes, these people have courage to pursue through things, but this is where they are mostly limited. The fear of death. Oh, I don't want to die. I don't want to. But also, to some extent, when the courage kicks into, they often start to ponder on, what the afterlife is like. These people, their imagination is tilted towards this particular session. They are really invested. Their imagination is really into, the afterlife. You understand what I'm saying? It's really into the afterlife, and wanting to know the occult too. Wanting to know the hidden things, the hidden mysteries of this world is what I tell people. But they are also scared of death too. Beneath all of that stuff, they are also scared of death. So that is what keeps them pondering, like, what would the afterlife be like? So sometimes they want to take certain acts of God. They want to engage on certain, or they want to engage on They want to, or engage in certain acts, use that courage tendency that they have, that strength, that drive that they have, that thing to engage in, and they also, the thing that holds them back is the thought of, all the afterlife be like for me. So I just people are like that. So another thing here with this placement here, outside of just this stuff, is the 12th place or the 12th house is the place of addiction. You understand me? It's also the place of escapism. It's also the place of alcohol. When you want to escape from the trials and the sufferings or the difficulties in life, people turn to alcohol, intoxicants, and all that stuff, which is the 12th place. Sagittarius people don't necessarily use alcohol to escape the hardship, the harshness of life. They mostly turn to sex, which is Scorpio in the 12th place. This can turn out to become their undoing, because instead of going towards the place that people would generally go to, which is turn to alcohol or smoking, like just to get high and mentally just escape the situation, because this is a place of escapism. The things you do to escape the difficulties of life is going to be indicated by your 12th house. These people turn to sex, and because this is also the place of addiction, these people turn to be sex addicts in certain parts of their life. You understand my point? These people eventually become sex addicts. It gets to the point where sex becomes their own alcohol that they use to escape, so they get into it because they tend to face certain difficulties in life, and sometimes it could be failures of maybe bonding in the family unit, which is something that these people are very, 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 very good at. Whenever they feel at it, talking about failing in the home, they have Pisces. Pisces is failures. They have Pisces in the 4th house, which is the home, the family. They are also very emotionally sensitive. So when they feel like there's like a disconnect, you understand? When they feel like there's a disconnect between them and the family, they mostly go to this route of escaping. Maybe not trying to maybe not figuring out the fact that they can't really make sense of a lot of things. It was like, yes, but where they normally find that solace is in the family, and when the family unit is not a place where where they find that solace in, that solitude in, it takes a huge toll on them, which is where Pisces comes into that stuff. They say which so sometimes they turn to alcohol, and they also have Cancer here. In the 8th place, the family bond is very strong for all Sagittarius people. I mean, even when it comes to intimacy, right, the emotional connection that they crave is very, 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 very strong. And looking at this emotional connection in the place of sex, and then having Scorpio in the 12th place, these two plays in. These two ties in to explain what is Sagittarius experience in these two realms. When they find someone whom they have that strong emotional, intimate connection with, they become quite addicted. That person becomes their very source of escapism for the difficulties in this world, especially when they can't find that solitude in the family settings. You understand me? And also, looking at Pisces in the 4th place, you see that these people come from very, very religious or spiritual homes, and they usually have one of their parents, which is usually the mom. Usually the mom, not always, which is the nurturing parent, because in some families, the dad may be the nurturing parent and the mom might be the disciplined parent. So the 4th place here is going to describe the nurturing parent. So these people have come from a family with strong spiritual or religious background. They have a parent that is very, very devout Christian, or a very, very devout spiritual practitioner, or a spiritualist rather. So they have this thing, and like I said, they have this very strong emotional sensitivity to things. These people sense everything. If they feel very connected to you, you understand, emotionally they sense everything. You are playing games, you just I've interacted with quite some Sagittarius people. They are very sensitive emotionally. They just know when you're bullshitting, when you're bullshitting, when you're not really Sagittarius people, just know, they sense it. The emotional sensitivity is strong, and this also ties into the religious home that they come from. This also forms like the very foundation of their emotion, where they just have that spiritual sensitivity, which is Pisces in the 4th place, right? They have that emotional spiritual sensitivity where if something isn't right, the first approach, emotional response to things is the spiritual side of it. I don't know if you know those people where they are mostly inclined to think of things from the spiritual aspect of it. Like immediately, like they will tell you that immediately I came across that guy, I just felt his energy was off. Not, no, like you just feel like something spiritual, the spiritual connection, that guy's spirit is low. These are people that are more inclined to think like that. Sagittarius people are more inclined to think like that. And I mean, we are still looking at the fact that Sagittarius is a sign of education and adventure and a lot of other things that it points to. Like, for example, Sagittarius has Aquarius in the third house, which is the place of communication. See, these people believe strongly in freedom of speech. I mean, what's the purpose of education? Is for you to verbally express the thing that you know. Is what Aquarius in the third house is for Sagittarius. To express the things that you know, the freedom of speech. These people believe strongly in freedom of speech. And that very thing you know about Sagittarius people is you surround themselves with friends. Aquarius is a sign of friends. That impacts them mentally. They have a great impact on them mentally. Sagittarius people rather, don't make friends just because they want to make friends. You understand? When you consider that they have Libra here, Libra is the sign of reciprocity. So the impact, the intellectual impact that they give to their friends, they expect that also in return. In outside of intellectualism also, these people, reciprocity is a huge part of what they use, the criteria that they use for making friends or keeping friends. I give to you, you give to me. And if you also consider that Libra and Taurus are ruled by Venus, and you have to look for where Taurus is in the Aquarius, in the Sagittarius chart. Taurus is in the 6th place of Aquarius. And the 6th place is a place of service. You understand? It's a place of work. These people will never work for free. I don't care which philosophy you think you stand by. Sagittarius people are never going to work for free for you, for no reason whatsoever. Sagittarius people will never work for you for free. They need some form of payment or compensation of value from you, whether it's by material possession, even if you're giving them something of your own that they belong in. If they do something for you, trust me, they want something in return. They don't work for free. They do not work for free. And these people don't really care about the nature of a job. What matters to them is that the job pays well. Sagittarius people don't care about what the nature of a job. If the job pays well, Sagittarius people are going to fold their sleeves and get to work. You understand what I'm saying? They are going to fold their sleeves and get straight to work. They don't joke around and they don't work for free. Be like, sometimes you should just help. They are not going to do favors for you for free. Not Sagittarius people, trust me. They are not going to do any favors for you for free. So don't even expect that from them. They are not. Trust me, whether it's that moment they're asking for it or later, they're always going to come back for something. They do not work for free. You have to have that in mind. So when you're dealing with Sagittarius people, right? So talking about health conditions, if this is space, if I'm to even bring that into the cases, issues with their voice, their throats, and all of those things, sensitive allergy to sugar, to sugary things is something Sagittarius people should also consider in the health. And talking about health, I think I'm going to do a video about astrology and the human anatomy. So we'll see the parts of the body that these signs rule. We are made up of all of these 12 signs, as above, so below. We are not separate from the divine. We have never been separate from the divine. You understand what I'm saying? We have never been separate from the divine. So thinking that it's just science of just no. It talks about your body. The places where you've had injuries in your body, these things also talk about it. So yes, even the place where you had injury in your body, it was written for you that is where your injury was going to. That's where you're going to have injuries when you come to this world. It doesn't sound, but when I do the content for that, you guys are going to see. So let me just stay focused on this particular stuff. See, these people have Gemini in the 7th place. The 7th place is a place of relationship, partnership, and your attraction. It's also your love language. The love language of Sagittarius people is intelligence. They don't want mediocrity around them. Did you pay attention when I said these people surround themselves with friends that impacts them intellectually? So what then do you think is going to be their criteria for relationship when it comes to finding a partner? It is Gemini, yes, in their 7th place. Communication is a love language for Sagittarius. that intellectual exchange. They will never settle for a mediocre partner. You have to be on par with a Sagittarius mentally for them to find you attractive, or you have to be above them for them to find you attractive. This is one criteria you need to know about Sagittarius. That is one constant thing that you find. Sagittarius people find intellectual people that are very intelligent, very attractive. Like when you talk about sapiosexuals, these are one of the biggest sapiosexuals of the zodiac. These are one of the biggest sapiosexuals of the zodiac. Same as what is it called? I think Scorpio too. Yeah, Scorpio too is also one of the sapiosexual. But Sagittarius is like that's it. So I skipped the second place, but I'm not done with the video. Don't worry. The second place, these people have Capricorn. Now, so Capricorn is the second place. These people are very calculative spenders. Yes, Sagittarius is a sign of generosity, and these people are very calculative spenders. They do not spend money just because. And a huge part of the principle and the morals that they live by, is hinged on practicality. Oh, something? These people value practical things. See, these people pay for things that are practical. When you say someone, wants to venture into education, into research, so those people love to expand their knowledge, but they only pay for a thing that has been demonstrated to be a practical thing, the reality that works. This is what these people are going to pay for. That's the second place. They just don't pay because they don't spend money just because they have it. No. These people pay for a thing that has been demonstrated to be a very practical approach towards solving a problem. This is what these people spend their money on. Their values, their principle is huge on practicality. They are not, trying to want to impress or to show that they are spenders. They are very calculated spenders. These are some of the people that you think that they can come off as being stingy. These some of the people that you think the people you say, this person is too calculative, they calculate everything they spend. These people can come off as being stingy. But they are not. That is just their nature. They calculate their spending. They are very, very, very. When it comes to budgeting, these people can budget. These people can budget when it comes to making expenses, spending stuff and all of that, So even when it comes to business too, they are very, very, they value, business, being business minded, being business driven. These are the things that, like I said, their values is hinged on practicality. So we are looking at Virgo. Virgo in the 10th place of Sagittarius, right? Virgo is a sign of neatness. It is also the sign of hygiene and pickiness. These people, when they are out in public, they do not want people to come close to them. When you are like in a public transport, like you're in a bus, and you find someone who just being unnecessarily what people would call OCD, like they don't want people to touch them, they don't like you guys are in the bus. Obviously, they know the bus is supposed to be crowded, but all of a sudden they are adjusting themselves like, please don't match me. Those are those are Sagittarius people. These people, their hygiene, their neatness is something that when they're out in public, they when we talk about car hailing services, the advent of car, or the coming of, or the emergence of car hailing services like Uber, Bolt, InDrive, all of that stuff, these Sagittarius people will definitely get on that stuff than to go to a public transport and be dragging and be in a position where they are always dragging for space, shift, or let me lap my child. And that's just they are very particular about their hygiene when they are out in public. Those people that they can just leap over a gutter or a small drainage like this, and the moment they land, they pick on their ankle, and then they're already cleaning up if there's any stain, any sprinkle of maybe mud or dust. Those are Sagittarius people. They are very, very, they are particular about their hygiene when they're out in public, trust me. And it's the same way they behave when it comes to interacting with people out in public too. They are also like that. They are very, very picky. And this guy, I've talked to him before. His hygiene isn't. They just stay. The only, they're probably, you find them. They are very, very picky and very, regimented and very, all that stuff there in public too. You see, but these are some of the people that you can stumble upon on the way, and they will do favors for you. To be honest, they will do favors for you, but sooner or later, you are going to come back. You are going to have to reciprocate that act. whether you're an associate or you're an alliance or you're a friends or you're a friend or you are someone in their social circle, reciprocity is a big part of something that it is. And don't forget, they will never do anything for you for free. They will never do anything for you for free. These people always need money. They always need any form of compensation, money, anything of value. It could be material thing, but yes, they definitely still need something, for it to offer. So this is the Sagittarius template, right? And I mean, there's a lot I would have talked on, but these are the ones I was able to pull out of it and to just make the video simple. So yeah, this is Sagittarius.